Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel The Serpent Studio, your go to spot for movie talk, action packed reviews, and sometimes a little horror on the side. And today we have got something intense. Yes, we are diving straight into the dark, gritty, and terrifying world of Resident Evil 8, the newest chapter of one of the most iconic franchise ever. Now, if you are like me, you will probably grow up watching Resident Evil movies, playing the games, or maybe both at a time. The franchise has been a roller coaster, sometimes pure adrenaline, sometimes pure chaos, but it never stopped entertaining. And when I first heard about Resident Evil 8 getting made, I had just one thought: please make it scary again. And guess what? They actually tried. Today, we are going to break this movie down. No spoilers, no worries, just pure, honest options mixed with some fun and little survival horror flavor. So, grab your green herbs, stay sharp, and let's get into it. And before we even touch the nitty gritty of Residential Evil 8, let's rewind just a bit. And I think it's important to talk about how we even got here. So, the Residential Evil franchise isn't just one random horror IP, it's certified legend. It started way back in 1996, such as a video game that literally created the survival horror genre. The games gave us creepy missions, mutated creatures, limited ammo, and iconic characters like Chris Redgrave, Will, Jill Valentine, and of course the terrifying Umbrella Corporation. Then the movie came along starting in 2002 with Residential Evil starring Milla Jovovich as Alice. Love it or hate it, the movie kicked off a cinematic series that spawned over 6 films packed with zombies, action, and tons of explosions. Not exactly pure horror, but fans kept watching. Now, here where it gets interesting. Residential Evil 8, the game was major shift first person, back to the horror roots on over the top gunfights. Just pure nerve wracking fear. And guess what? The new movie takes more inspiration from that, finally, right? The creators behind Residential 8, the movie, clearly knew fans are asking for one thing: bring back the horror, not just action, not just spectacle, but the kind of showman, creeping dread, and creeping dread that the series originally stood for. But does the movie actually deliver? Hold that through, we will get there. Yes. Alright, so let's talk about the story without ruining any surprises for you, obviously. Residential Evil 8 takes place in something very different from the citywide outbreaks we have used to. Gone are the streets of Raccoon City. Gone are the massive military operations. This time we are isolated, trapped, and way more personal. The pilot centers around a character who finds themselves in the middle of a remote and Aries entertainment where danger is lurking in every shadow. Think one creepy family on the edge of nowhere, less world ending zombie apocalypse. And honestly, this is where the movie shines. It feels like terrifying and like kind of movie at the time. The world is smaller but somehow scarier. Instead of big guns, the movie plays with tension, mystery, and psychological horror. And just like the game, it builds up slowly, layering fear instead of throwing CGI creatures at you every 5 minutes. The characters are introduced one by one, and each one adds a unique element to the story. There are no typical action heroes here, but this is about survival, instinct, and finding a way out. The horror isn't just monsters, it's about being trapped, being helpless, and never really knowing who you can trust. And let me just say this without spoiling, the vibe is very close to the game. If you have played Residential Evil 7 Biohazard, you will recognize certain themes if even the plot takes its own path. It's not just copy paste adaptation, it's more like a reimagination of same but some kind of different horror. Visually, the movie delivers that scene of decaying, rotten, hopeless dread. You will feel the mold, smell the rust, and hear every floorboard creak. And here's the cool part, the pacing. It doesn't rush. The first half is more atmospheric and tension slowly escalating into full blown horror as it processes. This is not like the older Residential Evil movies where everything explodes in first 20 minutes. This one actually makes you wait, and trust me, the payoff is worth your watch. Alright, so we have set the stage. The story is smaller, darker, and definitely quite the scarier. But what about the people who bring it to life? The characters, the performances, the villains? Yes, we are going deep into the next. Stick around because after the break, we talk about the cast, performances, and whether they actually manage to make us care, which is always tricky in the genre. Okay, so we are back. So, if you have been following the Residential Evil series, you know how tricky this is. Some movies nail the characters, others, well, let's just say they personalized, prioritized explosions over personality. But Residential Evil 8 changes that. This time, character feels more real, grounded, and actually worth caring about. Instead of having a massive roster of gun toting heroes and villains, this movie takes a smaller, more intimidating approach, focusing on a very tight cast. What I appreciated most is the protagonist isn't some superhero with unlimited ammo and martial arts skills. They are somewhere thrown into a nightmare with no clues how to survive. The performances captures that perfectly. There is a hesitation, there is a fear, there is a desperation, and you feel as you watch. Now, let's talk about the villains. And again, I'm keeping it spoiler free. But trust me on this when I say these villains are terrifying not just because how they look, but because how they act. Their performances are unsettling, unpredictable, and at times even uncomfortable human. That's the scary part. The supporting cast is small but quite the effective. Everyone has a purpose. There's no filtered characters here. Each person who shows up has something to contribute, whether it's more tension, mystery, or just sheer horror. Well, In a way, this setup feels more like a classic horror movie than a video game adaptation. And honestly, that's a compliment. Short answer yes. Already, let's talk about the questions. Is Residential Evil 8 actually scary? Absolutely. This movie detaches the all out action formula from previous entries and embraces on more psychologically atmosphere horror style. And guess what? It works. Gone, gone. Guns are the over-top slow motion fight scenes. Gone are the city-wide shoutouts. This is horror that creeps up on you. And for fans of the game, I think you will love this. It finally feels like a movie that understands what Residential Evil is supposed to be. It's not about superheroes fighting monsters, it's about normal people trying to survive a nightmare. It's not perfect, but it is arguably the most residential evil movie this franchise has made in the past few years. And let's be honest, fans are spectacle. After years of action heavy residential evil films, people are asking, are they really going back to the horror or is this just marketing? I can confidently say this, they did went back and the horror roots, the tension, the creepy setting, it's all here. Does it match the same terrifying heights as the Residential Evil 7? Not exactly, but you are watching instead of playing, but it's getting close enough to make you uncomfortable, and that's a win. So, here's my final take on Residential Evil 8, the movie. This is bold return to the series horror originals. It's not afraid to slow down, build atmosphere, and let you sit with unease before pulling the trigger. Performances solid, especially the lead, and the horror genuinely effective, action impactful, sound and visuals top notch, and the finally faithfulness. They reminded this is supposed to be a horror franchise. And if you are a fan of Residential Evil, especially the horror side, you should give this movie a shot if you are more into action heavy versions of the franchise. You might need to adjust your expectations, but who knows, maybe this lower, scarier approach will grow on you. So, my ratings, I will give Residential Evil 8 a solid 8.5 out of 10. Not flawless, but the best Residential Evil movie we have had in a long time. And here's you have it, folks, my full spoiler free review of Residential Evil 8. Was it terrifying? Absolutely. Was it satisfying for most of the part? Yes. Does it prove that Residential Evil still has life left on the big screen? 100%. Now, I want to hear from you guys. Do you like this movie? Do you prefer action Residential Evil or the horror Residential Evil? What's your favorite entry in the entire franchise? Drop it all down in the comments. I am ready to reading every single one. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, show some love by smashing that like button, subscribing if you haven't already, and ringing that notification bell so you don't miss any more horror fight, action packed, or just plain awesome movie reviews. Thanks for hanging out with me. Stay safe and stay scared. I will see you in the next video. Peace out, buddy. Thank you.